Bayside Kids. It's Sven Svensson, and today we continue our story of David, the shepherd boy, who killed the giant Goliath and won a great victory for the people of Israel because he trusted in God. Afterwards, David served the king as a soldier and commander in Saul's army. The people of Israel loved David and cheered him louder than they had cheered King Saul. This made King Saul jealous of David. The king thought that the people wanted David to be king. This made Saul angry. He was the king, not David. So Saul did something very bad. He told his son Jonathan and all his servants to kill David. But Jonathan and David were friends. They met right after David killed the giant Goliath. Jonathan talked to his father, the king. He said, "Please don't do anything to harm David. He hasn't done anything to harm you. The Lord used him to win a great battle for the whole nation of Israel. When you saw it, you were glad. So why would you do anything to harm a man like David?" And the king listened to his son. He told Jonathan that he wouldn't try to hurt David. After that, the Philistines attacked Israel and Saul, and his army marched off to war. David and his men fought so well that the Philistines ran away from them. After they returned from the war, King Saul was sitting in his house, and David was playing the harp for him. Saul could not stop thinking about how the people liked David, how they cheered him when he returned from battle. He could not stop thinking that David was going to be the next king. This made the king very angry, so angry that he did a bad thing. Saul rushed at David and tried to pin him to the wall with his spear. But David saw Saul coming and dodged the spear. David ran for his life. Saul was still angry with David, so he sent his soldiers out to find David and kill him. David needed help. He knew he couldn't hide forever from King Saul. David went to see his friend Jonathan. David told Jonathan how the king, Jonathan's father, wanted to kill him. Jonathan didn't believe David. He told David, "My father isn't going to kill you. He tells me everything. I would know if he were going to do something." But David said, "He's hiding this from you because he knows we are friends. But I tell you the truth, I'm very close to being killed." Jonathan asked David what he could do. David said, "Tomorrow I'm supposed to eat dinner with the king, but I'm going to hide in the field instead. When your father asks about me, tell him that I ask you to let me go to my home in Bethlehem. If your father says that's okay, then I'll know that it's safe for me. But if he's angry, then I will know that he still wants to harm me." Jonathan was a good friend. Jonathan knew that God wanted David to be the next king of Israel. Jonathan was the prince who was supposed to be king after his father Saul. Still, he only wanted to help David, so he agreed to do everything David asked. David asked, "How will I know what your father says?" Jonathan knew that his father might send someone to spy on him, so he said, "You must wait in the fields. Tomorrow, after I find out how my father feels about you, I will come out to the fields and practice with my bows and arrows. I'll bring a boy to fetch the arrows for me. If I tell the boy, 'The arrows are on this side of you,' then you will know you're safe. But if I tell the boy, 'The arrows are far beyond you,' then you will know that my father is planning to harm you." So the next day, while David hid in the field, Jonathan sat down to dinner with the king. David's place was empty. The king said to Jonathan, "Why hasn't the son of Jesse come to the meal?" Jonathan replied, "David asked me if he could go to his family in Bethlehem instead of eating at the king's table." Saul flew into a rage. He yelled at his son, "You foolish son! You will never be king as long as David lives. Bring David to me. He must die." "Why do you want to put him to death?" Jonathan asked his father. "What has he done?" Saul was so angry, he hardly knew what he was doing. He threw his spear at Jonathan to kill him. Then Jonathan knew that his father wanted to kill David. The next day, Jonathan went out to the fields with his bow and arrows and told the boy, "Run and find the arrows that I shoot." As the boy was running after an arrow, Jonathan shot one over the boy's head. Then he said, "The arrows are far beyond you." David heard these words, and he knew that he would have to run far away to be safe from Saul. Jonathan sent the arrow boy back to town. David came out after the boy had gone away. The two friends said a sad goodbye. Both knew that they might not see each other again. Then they went their separate ways. Jonathan to the palace, and David to the desert to hide from King Saul. Well, that's it for today, kids. This is Sven Svensson, wishing all you Bayside kids a great week. Goodbye.